So there's a lot that you can analyze from this video itself. You got the grappling, you got hair grabbing, you got striking, ground fighting, a whole bunch of shit. But the one thing I want to pay attention to is right here, and it is her attempt at a shin pin. Now, the shin pin is a great way to control a weapon when you are on the ground, if it's done properly. Now, the shin pin itself, both for self-defense and sport, is a great way to control someone in general from side control. We've done a whole video on it. I'll post it down below. But the problem that she had with this is that she wasn't positioning her shin properly, right? If we're talking like sport jiu-jitsu, and I pin my shin across the bicep, even though this is a good control point, he can't really pull his arm back as easily. The problem is that he can still utilize half his arm. So even if I'm controlling up here, if he's able to grab my pants, my short, my waistline, whatever, he can use that as leverage to start pulling my hips down. And if he manages to get an underhook or a good post, like he can use that momentum to drop my hip. And again, if we're talking sport, it's not a position I want to be in. If I'm in side control, I want to be able to dominate side control. Now let's add in the weapon. Now, if you notice in the video, when she went across the bicep, she immediately lost it because she wasn't controlling the hips. We'll talk about that in a second. But if we were paying attention, even though I've got good control here, and I know I got razor sharp shins, as Cash will tell you, I can grind this across the bicep and it's gonna cause a lot of discomfort, you could say. But he still has the ability to stab and slash. So again, even though I might be doing something up here, if he manages to get some good hits in, that could be life-threatening for me. So if you are looking to do a shin pin, whether it is for self-defense and sport, I need to make sure that my shin goes between the wrist and the elbow and I drive it across here. Now in this position, yes, I'm still causing nice discomfort, but this weapon is deemed useless. Now, the question then becomes, well, do you disarm the weapon when you're in this position? Like, sure, I can work different disarms and get the weapon disengaged, but the problem is, he can't utilize it right now anyways. And if I start focusing on trying to disarm this, I'm not focusing on the crucial part of completing the shin pin, which is controlling the rest of the body, which is how she lost the situation. When she was simply just here on the bicep, she wasn't doing anything to control the rest of the girl's body. The girl was able to get her knees and legs in and start pushing back, which ultimately forced the girl to stand back up, and as a result, she ended up getting cut in the leg and just completely lost control of the situation. So when I'm in this position and I have the shin pinned, this is the least of my focus now. I have to immediately turn my attention back to controlling the rest of the body, again, if we are in side control. I know sport, self-defense, if I'm controlling or pinning this arm, this person is looking most likely to start coming up and either push me down, get underhooks, get back up, whatever. They're gonna be fighting into me. So the moment I control this, regardless of how we got there, whether I was kind of posting here, push the arm down and drive my shin, I have to immediately now turn my attention here. First part being a crossface. If they're turning into you, drive that bicep across the face as hard as you can, completely level them back out and get their shoulders flat on the ground. I don't want to pressure too far forward, one, because they can toss me, but two, I lose the pressure of the shin, exactly, and it's gonna completely just ruin my day at that point. So I have to make sure that when I do this crossface, I still keep my weight back. Crossface is key. You can apply the shoulder adjusters if you want to, but my second point of control is I have to get some form of far arm control. Ideal would be an underhook. Again, we've talked about this in the video, I'll post it below, but this is a good position for me to hang out in because I've got the shin control, I've got the head control, and I've got the underhook control. The only thing he can really do is move and bump his hips or try and pose my face, but even if he tries to recompose, go ahead, bring your knees in. Try and get your knees in and recompose. It's not really in a good spot that he can get to because I'm so far up here. And again, I'm controlling three main points. Now, if I wasn't utilizing a shin pin, let's just ignore the weapon point. If we're going like typical side control, right? Nope, give me your arm for a second. If I go here and he starts working that arm in, like now I have to worry about two things. One, he's gonna frame off this forearm, and now that allows him to get the angle, to get the knees in. I can easily lose side control. So from like a sport perspective, the ability to control this arm with your shin completely eliminates your ability of really having to worry about their hips or knees at all. There's really not much they can do. Even if they try kneeing you in the head or something, like I can just sit down here, like my worries come to minimal. I do have the option if I want to, or if I feel the need to, where I can take this foot and actually switch. So you pretty much just swap the position and I can post out here for whatever reason. If you just feel the need to kind of keep more pressure up here, I can use this foot to really drive in and just control the situation while we're waiting for help to arrive. Now, typically, I don't want to position myself in a manner like this that could leave me vulnerable to outside attackers. In this given situation, it does not look like anyone is trying to jump in and actually harm the girl on top. It seems like everyone's just trying to break up the fight. If this was out on the street somewhere, circumstances might be different. But in this specific situation, I feel that if she was in this type of control point, she would be fine hanging out until help arrives or until people can then disarm the knife properly. But again, I've got good shin control, I've got a good crossface control, I've got a good underhook control. I don't need to now spend my time trying to disarm the knife per se directly because at this point it's deemed useless. If you need to and things just are escalating to that level, which I guess if a weapon's involved, they kind of already are. But I can easily apply strikes. I can drop some hammer fists. I can drop some close quarter elbows if I need to. I can also look to go for a reverse crossface. Again, doesn't matter which shin you're utilizing, right? But I can start attacking this forearm. If he's like really posting on my head, trying to get me to turn, right? I can post and start maybe I lock up a Kimura, maybe you lock up an Americana, whatever the case is. But if I'm in this position and he's really giving me a hard time, yeah, I can sit here and break the fucking arm if I need to, and then I can guarantee you he's not gonna be trying to use that weapon because now all the pain's over here. So this shin pin is a great way to completely control the weapon, I agree, but you have to make sure you control the rest of the body. And again, this was like one of the first videos I've ever seen, especially with a civilian, where they attempt to utilize a shin pin. And again, the bicep still puts a lot of discomfort on the person. It just leaves you a little bit more vulnerable. Let's just say for whatever reason when we hit the ground that the weapon is on the forearm, right? I get hands on right away and I start just kind of completely putting all my weight in this area. I can't necessarily get across the body fully, but I can put my weight across them. I can still utilize a shin pin to control this position, right? Maybe I can't get a crossface per se because I'm already committed to 2-on-1. I can use my hips and body and just put pressure on the head. But what I can do, especially because I know he's gonna be looking to get that backhand involved, right? Trying to pull or trying to frame in, I can come up and use my knees and actually slide in and then work my way down and control the shin. So now again, I'm still utilizing my shins to control the arm while I'm also controlling the far side. Now maybe from here, I can utilize a crossface, or again, I can just kind of pressure in with my head a little bit. Not really worried about him biting me or anything at this point, because again, if he starts trying to do anything, it's a quick hammer fist or drop an elbow and I can come right back to controlling. But again, I have full control of this weapon. I'm completely locked out with my arms and stiff arming this. So go ahead, get your arm back. It's not really going anywhere. I've got good shin control over there, so he can't get this arm back. I'm cross facing, and again, I do not have to worry about his use of the hips from this position. So the shin pin is a great thing to utilize to control weapons, both if it's on the same side, but also on the opposite side. But again, you have to be able to do it properly. So whether you use it for sport or self-defense, the shin pin is definitely something you should start incorporating into your training, especially when you get onto the ground and you're in a side control position. Give it a shot.